G'day, it's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website and YouTube channel Kangaroo Court of Australia. Now I'm about to show you a short video, 2.5 minutes, of Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles openly lying about Australia supplying Israel with weapons or weapons parts. And the key to this video isn't the subject, it's the audacity, the arrogance with which Richard Marles lies. He openly lies, he knows we know he's lying, he just doesn't care. And by itself it's bad, but the second video I'm about to show you is Foreign Affairs Minister Penny Wong lying about the same topic in Parliament. Now, if she's lying in Parliament, she should be sanctioned and booted out of Parliament for a period of time. Once again, her arrogance, and that's from a couple of weeks ago. So they're obviously colluding to tell the same lie, and the reason they're telling the same lie is because the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, had an arrest warrant issued for him in November 2024 by the International Criminal Court for war crimes, alleged war crimes, genocidal war crimes. And if he was to be found guilty of that, well, the people who supplied him the weapons, it's arguable they should also be charged for supplying him the weapons and aiding and abetting the war crimes and alleged genocide, which we all know is actual genocide, but just say alleged at this point. The first video is Richard Marles, Deputy Prime Minister, on the ABC Insiders program with host David Spears on Sunday the 10th of August 2025, and I'll show you that now.
If there is a concern on Australia's part about international law being violated here, I'm just wondering what further steps might be taken here. Germany is going to block or suspend arms sales to Israel that could be used in Gaza. What about the armoured steel and the F-35 components that Australia contributes? Would they be blocked?
Oh, well, let's be clear. We don't supply weapons to Israel, and we have.
The armoured steel and the F-35 components is what I'm asking about.
Well, we're an F-35 country, and we have been that for a couple of decades, and that is a multilateral arrangement with supply chains that are organised by Lockheed Martin in the United States and have multiple suppliers in respect of all of those supply chains. So really, that is a very different question, and we are a part of that process.
What about the armoured steel?
Whatever step we might take. Well, we are not supplying weapons to Israel, and we are an F-35 country, as I say, but that really is a separate issue, and this is about having an impact on Israel. We have made it really clear that we need to see a cessation of hostilities, and that is the fundamental point that needs to be made.
I understand that, but what about selling armoured steel for armoured vehicles?
Well, we are not supplying weapons to Israel, and you know, we have
armoured vehicles is okay.
We're not contributing to that, David, and so let's be clear about that. And we've seen a lot of misinformation in relation to what Australia is doing here. The fundamental point is that we are not supplying weapons to Israel, and there is no step that we could take equivalent to that of Germany, which would have any impact in relation.
Certainly
to
not
Israel.
on the same scale.
I mean,
but
yes,
are you saying that
armoured
armoured steel from Bisalloy that goes to Rafael Advanced Defence Systems is not being used in armoured vehicles?
What I'm saying is that there is no step that we can take here which has any impact in relation to the activities of Israel. And it is a very different question to what is being talked about in relation to Germany, which obviously has a significant supply into Israel. We want to do everything we can to see an end to the hostilities that are occurring in Gaza. The most important thing that we can do is use our international voice here, and that's what we've been doing.
Now, as I said at the beginning, it's not just the lies, it's the audacity, the contempt in the manner they tell the lies because they just don't care. And by itself, Richard Marles' lies are bad, but when put together with Penny Wong's lies, well, they're 10 times worse because it shows a conspiracy to tell the same lie. The video I'm about to show you, published on the 31st of July 2025 in relation to Penny Wong, and I'll show you that video now. Now, Foreign Affairs Minister Penny Wong has been called out in Parliament, saying Australia is sending F-35 fighter jet parts to Israel, but she said they're non-lethal parts. So how they can be regarded as non-lethal parts, I don't know. But I'll play you the full video. There's snippets of it on Twitter, but I think it's worth showing the full video because that way it can't be said it's taken out of context. So the first part is Senator David Shoebridge, a Green Senator, asking Penny Wong questions in Senate on the 28th of July 2025, which is last Monday. The second part is Senator David Shoebridge later that day, commenting on how disgusting it was for Senator Penny Wong to give the answers that she gave. The third part is a short video clip that Senator David Shoebridge posted on Twitter, or X as it's known now, on the 29th of July 2025. And I'll show you that first part now.
Senator Shoebridge.
Oh, thanks very much, President. My question's to the Foreign Minister, Senator Wong. Senator, given the Prime Minister has stated in relation to Gaza, quite clearly it is a breach of international law to stop food being delivered, which was a decision that Israel made in March. When will your government move from statements such as this to material action to enforce international law, such as joining South Africa's genocide case in the ICJ, Magnitsky sanctions against the whole Netanyahu Security Cabinet, and an end to all military cooperation with Israel?
Thank you, Senator Shoebridge. Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. Thank you to Senator Shoebridge for the question. As you would know, President, the catastrophic situation in Gaza has gone beyond the world's worst fears, and we know that Australians and people around the world are distressed and angry about what is occurring, including the ongoing violence and the deaths of so many innocent civilians, and this is unacceptable. As the Prime Minister said, and I think Senator Shoebridge went to this, it is a breach of international law to stop food being delivered, which is the decision that Israel made in March. I would add to that, it is also a breach of decent humanity. It is a breach of decent humanity. Now, it is the case that Australia is not a central player, but we do add our voice to the calls from the international community, and Senator Shoebridge would be aware I joined, as Foreign Minister, a statement from what was then, I think, 27 other countries. Since then, others have added themselves to that statement, and that is a good thing. Together with partners, we have called for all parties to abide by international humanitarian law. Together with partners, we have condemned the denial of aid, the killing of civilians. Together with partners, we have been part of the international call for ceasefire and hostage deal, and we remain unequivocal in our condemnation of Hamas. We have also, as you would be aware, we do not provide weapons to Israel and have not for 5 years since this conflict began. We have sanctioned extremist settler entities and individuals, and we have sanctioned members of the Netanyahu government for the human rights abuses of Palestinians. And we've called on Israel to abide by the decisions and findings of the International Court of Justice.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Shoebridge, first supplementary.
Thank you, Minister. Given you have repeatedly stated that the Australian government has full knowledge of concurrence of what happens at Pine Gap, what steps have you taken to ensure the joint US-Australian spy facility at Pine Gap is not being used to assist the Israeli military in its breaches of international law as identified?
Senator Watt.
Order, President. I don't really see how that's relevant to the primary question that Senator Shoebridge asked.
Thank you. I'll seek some advice on that. I am advised the question is quite comprehensive in the way it's been drafted, therefore it drifts across some portfolio areas. But as a supplementary question, it does also contain some references to the primary question. So I'm going to invite the Minister to answer the question which relates specifically to her portfolio matters. Minister Wong.
Well, thank you, I understand that the Greens are desperate to try and gain domestic political traction from this conflict, and so desperate that they would make the assertions that are being made, which are not responsible and are inaccurate. Senator Shoebridge, I think we all understand some of the political tactics, including by the opposition in relation to this conflict. I think most Australians are appalled by what they see, but also recognise that they don't want the conflict reproduced here by people making inaccurate statements like the one you just made.
I believe the Minister has concluded her answer, Senator Shoebridge, so I'm going to invite you to ask your second supplementary.
Sure. President, Foreign Minister, noting those answers, recently leaked flight manifests reported in Declassified Australia have shown that the Royal Australian Air Force earlier this month facilitated the transfer of F-35 fighter parts to Israel, fighter jet parts to Israel. Will you, Minister, stop this from happening again?
Minister Wong.
Senator, I again say to you, I have said in this place, and so has the Prime Minister in the other place, we are not supplying weapons or ammunition to Israel. We have not done so since the Hamas-Israel conflict began, and for at least the past 5 years. I know that will not stop you from spreading misinformation about the long-standing...
Minister Wong, please resume your seat. Senator Shoebridge.
President, this question is about flight manifests that show the RAAF transfer in it, and the Minister is not being relevant. Deliberately personal, but not relevant.
Senator Shoebridge, I'm assuming you are raising a point of order. You need to say that when you stand, not just begin reiterating the question. So I understand it's a point. Is it a point of order?
Point of order, President. Relevance. The question is about the flight manifests.
You do not need to repeat the question. Thank you. Please resume your seat. Senator Wong, the Minister is being relevant to your question. Senator Wong, please continue.
I think everyone watching this will see that the Australian Greens political party are desperate to try and play domestic politics with this dreadful conflict. And, shame on you. Shame on you. I have explained to you multiple times, and yet despite that you continue to spread misinformation. We are part of the long-standing F-35 consortium. It is essential to our sovereign defence capability and manufacture...
Order.
You're going to keep shouting at me? Is that how you deal with things? Would you like me to sit down?
Order. I've asked you to come to order 3 times, Senator Shoebridge. Minister, please continue.
The F-35... As part of the global F-35 supply chain, we contribute components and parts that are non-lethal in nature.
Thank you, Minister. The time for answering has expired.
Now, this is the second part where Senator David Shoebridge comments on Senator Penny Wong's non-answers, and I'll show you that now.
I seek to take note of the answer from Foreign Minister Senator Wong. Extraordinary responses from the Foreign Minister. First, of course, we saw the Labor Party finally acknowledge that they are sending F-35 fighter parts into Israel. Of course, they deny that F-35 fighter parts have anything to do with weapons. I think the term used was the non-lethal parts of a fighter jet is what Australia supplies into Israel. If it wasn't about a genocide, and if it wasn't about Australia arming a military to conduct a genocide, those kinds of answers would be mocked. Those kinds of answers would be pilloried, and they would be seen as something close to comic relief. But this is not a comedy. This is about the Albanese government sending weapons parts into a genocide, and it's obscene that they continue to deny the reality of what they're doing. We also saw the truth about where Labor has moved to in terms of taking action to stop the appalling breaches of international law by the Israeli government. We had the Prime Minister finally acknowledge, people would say 18 months too late, the gross breaches of international law, using mass starvation as a weapon of war by Israel. Finally admit that. But then when they're asked the following day in Parliament, what will you do to stop Israel breaching international law? The answer we got was nada. Nothing, zero, zilch. Maybe another stern tweet, maybe another stern letter, maybe they'll escalate the language. Well, we know that the extremist Netanyahu security cabinet will not care about cranky words or rising rhetoric from the likes of the Prime Minister or the Foreign Minister of Australia. What will matter is ending all defence cooperation with Israel, cancelling almost $2 billion of weapons contracts that Australia has with Israeli weapons manufacturers. And can I finally finish on this? When it comes to questions on Pine Gap, the embarrassment, the avoidance was clear for all to see.
Now, this third part is a short clip that Senator David Shoebridge posted on Twitter, or X as it's known now.
Out of the global F-35 supply chain, we contribute components and parts that are non-lethal in nature. Non-lethal in nature.
I'm just trying to imagine the non-lethal bits of an F-35 fighter jet.
Now, the federal government has been saying for the last 12, 18 months, 2 years, that the Australian government stopped selling weapons and ammunition to Israel 5 years ago. But the reality is we're still sending weapons parts. We're still sending parts for the F-35 jet fighters, which are being used to bomb Gaza, being used to facilitate the genocide, war crimes. And I think maybe Penny Wong is preparing a defence for aiding and abetting war crimes, aiding and abetting genocide. She's saying, oh, they're non-lethal. She's saying they're non-lethal parts they're sending to Israel. Well, that's a joke, bad joke too. They're the same questions that were put to Penny Wong and also Richard Marles should be put to Prime Minister Anthony Albanese in relation to Australia supplying weapons parts or weapons, whatever you want to call them. Without the parts, the weapons don't work. The F-35 jet fighter, it won't work without the parts Australia's supplying them. So to say they're non-lethal is a joke. It's scandalous for Penny Wong to say that. And those same questions that Richard Marles and Penny Wong answered need to be put to Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and see what he says. And I suspect we'll get the same answer from him. And they'll show collusion. They're all just lying together. Anyhow, please do your bit and help shine a light on corruption and share this video on social media. And please hit the like and subscribe button and notification button. That way you get notified every time I publish a new video. And Kangaroo Court of Australia's independent media. I'm an independent journalist and I'm 100% crowdfunded from viewers like yourself. So please make a donation via PayPal or Patreon. And the links for PayPal and Patreon are below this video on YouTube and also on my website. Or you can go to my website and click on the donations page and there's other donation options there. Other than that, thank you for your time and have a good day.